The day Amara started suspecting her husband, nothing had actually happened. That was what made everything that followed so difficult to undo. My cousin Amara and I grew up in the same compound in Enugu. It was the kind of place where doors were rarely locked and everyone knew what everyone else was doing before the day ended. Children moved from one house to another without thinking twice, and decisions were rarely made alone. Amara carried that into adulthood. She did not like deciding things by herself. Even the smallest choices felt heavier when she had to make them alone. When she went to the market to buy fabric, she would hold up two options and call 3 or 4 people before choosing one. Sometimes, she would still change her mind after the calls. When she married Obina, we all thought she had finally found balance. Their wedding was not extravagant, but it was full. People came, they laughed, they danced. Amara stood beside Obina with a calm smile that felt different from the uncertainty we had known her for. For the first time, it looked like she had settled into something steady. Obina was a quiet man. He worked as a civil engineer and spent most of his days on construction sites, going through plans, checking measurements, speaking to workers in a calm, measured way. He was not the type to draw attention to himself, but there was a steadiness to him that people trusted. He provided, he showed up, he did his part. Their house was not something people would stop to admire. There was nothing impressive about it, but it was peaceful, and that peace was the first thing people questioned. It started at the shop. Mrs. Badomosi's shop sat at the corner of the street, the kind of place people stopped by even when they did not need anything. Women sat there most afternoons, talking, sorting items, passing time. On one of those afternoons, Amara was there with them, helping to sort dried hibiscus leaves spread across a tray on the table. The conversation had been normal, light, until it was not. I saw Obina's car near that hotel outside town during lunch, Mrs. Badomosi said. She did not raise her voice. She did not look directly at Amara. A man who eats away from home is looking for a different man. Amara did not respond immediately. She continued sorting the leaves in front of her. But something had already shifted. That night, she did not ask Obina anything. Instead, she called her childhood friend. She sat on the edge of the bed, phone pressed to her ear, her voice low. I heard something today, she said. Her friend did not hesitate. Men like that always have somewhere else they go, she said. Especially the quiet ones. You just have not caught him yet. After that call, Amara stopped seeing her husband the same way. Nothing about Obina changed, but everything about how she looked at him did. When his phone rang and he stepped outside, she noticed. When he came home tired and spoke less, she noticed. When he slept early, turning his back to her, she noticed. One night, she sat on the edge of the bed watching him sleep. He looked peaceful, unaware. She stayed there longer than she should have. Then she started searching, quietly and carefully. She checked his pockets, his phone, his things. She found nothing. But that did not settle her. It made things worse. If you do not find anything, it means he's being careful, her friend had said. Amara began to withdraw. She stopped doing the small things, stopped sitting with him in the evenings, stopped making the meals he liked, stopped responding the way she used to. The house changed, not in a way anyone outside could see, but inside it became heavy. One evening, Obinna called her to sit. They sat facing each other in the living room. He leaned forward slightly. "What is going on?" he asked. His voice was calm and controlled. Amara did not explain. She did not mention the shop. She did not mention the call. She only said, "You know what you're doing." Then she stood up and walked away. That was the moment something broke. 2 weeks later, Obinna did not come home at his usual time. Amara did not wait long. She went straight to the shop. She stood in front of Mrs. Badomosi, her voice tighter than usual. "He has not come home," she said. The old woman looked at her calmly. "I told you," she said. Before Amara could say anything else, someone called her name. Her brother. He was walking toward her quickly, his face tense. "Amara," he said, slightly out of breath. "Obinna is in the hospital." Everything shifted. At the hospital, the noise of the outside world disappeared. The corridors were too bright, too quiet. A man approached her, Obinna's supervisor. He spoke calmly and carefully. He collapsed at the sight, he said. He has been working extra hours for some time. Amara frowned slightly. Extra hours? He has been taking additional consultations during his lunch breaks. The man continued, meeting clients outside the main site. Amara's chest tightened. He said he wanted to save enough for something important. The supervisor added, he was very focused. The pieces did not fit the way she expected. When she saw Obinna, he was lying on the bed, weak and tired. I thought you were seeing someone else, she said quietly. He looked at her for a long moment, not angry, not surprised, just a tired man. I am not the one who was seeing something, he said. Then he looked away slightly. I think you were. 3 days later, Amara went back to the shop. Not to argue, not to ask questions, just to return. She stopped when she heard voices. Mrs. Badomosi was speaking to another woman. I knew from the beginning, she said, laughing lightly. My nephew works with him. I knew exactly what he was doing. Then why did you not tell her? The other woman asked. Mrs. Badomosi shrugged. Well, because she's easy to stir, she said. Some people need to learn the hard way. Amara did not step forward. She did not speak. She turned and walked away. When she got home, Obinna was sitting in the living room. He looked up as she entered. For a moment, neither of them spoke. I heard them, she said quietly. He did not ask who. By then, he already understood that the problem had never started in that house. She stood there, unsure of where to begin. I did this, she said. Obinna nodded once, not in agreement, not in forgiveness, just in understanding. And somehow, that was harder to face. Amara stood there, finally seeing everything clearly. Nothing had been hidden from her. Nothing had been taken from her. She had simply believed voices that did not belong in her home. Trust does not break in one moment. It weakens slowly, and once it is gone, it does not return the same way it left. She had spent weeks protecting herself from something that never existed, and in doing that, she had damaged the one thing that did. And that was the day Amara learned that not every voice deserves a place in your home.